Okay, let's get straight into it tonight. My first guest, Town Hall senior columnist. He is an author. He is a former Army colonel. He is a lawyer. Kurt Schlichter, you know him well. Kurt, thanks so much for joining me tonight on the U.S. Report. I need to get your reaction to what has been going on in Minnesota the past week, particularly the nature of these protests, which look more like a low-grade insurgency than they do a series of, mostly peaceful protests, as they say. And what happened, you think, in that phone call between Tim Walz and Donald Trump that made the governor of Minnesota suddenly decide that he wasn't going down such a smart path and he ought to send in some of his own police to clear out some of these demonstrators?
Well, it sounds to me like you've been reading some of my ex commentary about how this is, in fact, a low grade insurgency, not unlike the leftist insurgency in the late 60s, early 70s that led to thousands of bombings and many murders across the United States. Now, there have been some shootings by these guys in the past, but of course, all the focus is on the communist agitators who got sideways with the police and ended up dead. Um, the dynamic is interesting. Americans want the illegal aliens out. They want them gone. The ones that commit new crimes here, the ones who only commit the crime of coming to the United States unlawfully. It doesn't matter. They all need to go. And I don't care. And most Americans don't care about their sob stories. Get on the bus, get on the plane, get out of our country. Tim Walz, of course, is the governor of Minnesota. Minnesota is a Democrat state full of corruption that's intimately tied in with the immigration scandal, essentially, where Joe Biden allowed 20 million illegals in the United States against American law and undercut the efforts to remove them. Donald Trump, of course, has reversed that. We now have a massive backlash. Well, actually, when I say massive backlash, it shows their information operation is working. It's not that massive at all. It's a few hundred communist agitators organized fairly effectively, in a fairly sophisticated manner, that go out and hassle the police, the federal officers who are out there arresting these illegal aliens, and attempt to make aesthetically displeasing displays. And Americans are nice people. Americans don't like to see people getting beat up. They don't like to see people getting shot. Now, make no mistake, when it's time, we'll kill everybody we have to. Doesn't matter. But normally, Americans don't really like seeing that on their own streets. So Walz kind of leveraged that. But he realizes that it's not quite going the way he wants, that standing behind people trying to keep pedophiles and murderers in our country is not going to work. That's why he's backed down. That's why Donald Trump is going to win by staying strong.
But also, Kurt, let's not forget the reason why this whole thing started was because Tim Walz needed to take the heat off himself and the Democrats in Minnesota over the massive fraud that was allegedly being committed by members of the Somali community, largely around the fake daycare centers, the Leering Center that I think we all want to send our kids to, the Minnesota Leering Center. So, do you think that there was some sort of, hey, we've got a lot that we could be going much more harder on you from a Justice Department point of view if you don't call this off?
They're going to go hard on him one way or another. The nice thing about Donald Trump is, in many ways, the way that you control Americans, or the way you control right-wing Americans, is by having them appeal to arbitrary guardrails and norms that, of course, you yourself don't appeal to. That's how Western Europe attempts to keep America in Western Europe, but kind of doing their bidding. And that's the way the left tries to work on weak-hearted Republicans in the United States. Oh, it's ugly, it's mean, you can't do that. You can't possibly exercise your power. That would be wrong, even though we do absolutely when we have the chance. And Donald Trump doesn't play that game. Donald Trump is, no, I'm the president. I was elected. I have Article 2 powers. And the people voted for me on a platform of throwing these illegal aliens out. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use the federal government's powers to throw them out. And it kind of sends the left for a loop.
Well, yeah, not only Article 2, but also Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, which tells the federal government that it has the power over the states to do what the federal government does, including borders. But, you know, this whole ugliness here, I don't think it's stopping in Minnesota. I mean, I've seen so many things this week here, really disturbing. Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner, he's been doing his best to keep the temperature dialed up. Listen to this here.
This is a small bunch of wannabe Nazis. That's what they are. In a country of 350 million, we outnumber them. If we have to hunt you down the way they hunted down Nazis for decades, we will find your identities, we will find you, we will achieve justice.
And he's talking about ICE agents and comparing them to Nazis. And this is the thing, and I've been saying this for weeks, I've been saying this for years. Once you start comparing people to Nazis, then some people are going to get it into their head that they can do anything they want to well, stop Nazis. Because who wouldn't want to stop Nazis?
Well, it's an invitation to murder. And I think it's extremely short-sighted. You need to understand, you know, maybe your viewers don't understand the United States of America, but let me put it this way. I have more guns within my reach than your local police department does. That's just me, okay? I am not ever going, and I represent hundreds of millions of Americans on this. I'm not going to live on my knees submitting as a serf to some communist goof like Larry Krasner, the Soros-bought district attorney of Philadelphia, ever. That's off the agenda. Now, my ancestors fought a civil war against Democrats who wanted to keep a serf class enslaved. And if that's the dice they want to roll, you know, it's going to come up craps for them.
Yeah, well, my ancestors too, actually. Kurtz, we've got that in common there. But it's not only Krasner who's doing this. Check out, this is the Democrat candidate for Ohio Attorney General. He's talking about the president here. Listen to this.
This is Elliot Forehand, candidate for Ohio Attorney General. I want to tell you what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump. I mean, I'm going to obtain a conviction rendered by a jury of his peers at a standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, based on evidence presented at a trial conducted in accordance with the requirements of due process, resulting in a sentence duly executed of capital punishment. That is what I mean when I say that I'm going to kill Donald Trump.
Not exactly subtle messaging there. I'm kind of not sure how that might not be a crime in and of itself.
It's probably not a crime under the First Amendment. You can generally say what you want. Let's see him pull it off. It won't work. I mean, look, he's a fringe Democrat. He's not part of the mainstream, although the mainstream won't rebuke idiots like this. And while you know, it's so embarrassingly stupid. It's really hard to comment on. But again, I come back to it, and I've written a novel about a potential American Civil War, Second Civil War. Dude, if you want it, you can always start it. But, you know, the smart play is not to start a war when you're on the side without the guns.
Well, yeah, as the saying goes, don't threaten me with a good time. Kurt Schlichter, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, as always.
Thanks for having me.